This is the most important part of our racket, but not for the reason you might think. Today I'm gonna give you the 5 most important tips to have the best grip ever. And more important, the best player in the history of Padel is gonna show us his tricks. Hello to all players, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. Do you consider important the grip on your racket? Tires on a car are the only part of contact with the road. The grip on our paddle racket is the only part of contact with our hand. That is not enough important for you? Using fewer or more grips on your racket can affect your game seriously. And people who start playing paddle forget about the existence of the grip. They continue playing paddle and one day realize that they start to miss more and more points. And that is because of the sweat and not having a correct grip. But a grip can also affect your racket in 2 important things: the balance and the weight. The more grips you use in your paddle racket, the heavier it will be. And at the same time, the more weight you place on the grip, the lower the balance will be. Think that each overgrip weighs around 7 grams. And also think that subscribe to the channel costs you 0 and makes me really happy. So why don't we get to 20k subscribers? And actually there are some professional players that use 13 overgrips. That obviously can injure your arm. One of the most common questions regarding the grip is when you should change it. And in my opinion the answer is really simple. It depends on you. How much do you sweat? Where do you play? How often do you play? It's not the same to play outdoors or indoors and with humidity. In a standard situation, I would recommend you to replace it after 3 or 4 matches. But how often do a pro player change his grip? Fernando Velasteguín answers this time and shows us how he puts an overgrip.
Vela, ¿te puedo pedir que me pongas un overgrip y ver cómo pones un overgrip? Sí. No. Encima perforado. Yo soy más de los lisos, ¿eh?
Y yo también. Tengo ahí en el bolso yo de los lisos.
¿Y tienes una manera específica y exacta de poner los overgrips?
Sí, no, en la pala siempre que cuando lo saco lo pongo desde el puntito donde
el fino.
El otro. Claro.
¿Cuántas veces habrás podido hacer esto?
Si este lo saco de acá, ahora cuando pongo el otro te lo vuelvo a poner ahí arriba.
Tienes ahí la cinta de después.
Este es largo. Ahora han hecho grip de paddle, grip de paddle para que no se tire, no sobra tanto.
¿Rompes?
Y, claro, si no tiras mucho grip. No tiene explicación lógica si no uso en unas paletas de paddle que los grips son más finitos y tiro 20 centímetros, es una lástima. Han hecho en Wilson grip para paddle que te llega hasta arriba perfecto y no tenés que tirar nada.
No sé, a mí, ¿no? Le has dado una vuelta al inicio y ya está.
Claro. Yo me lo estoy poniendo como si fuera para mí, ¿eh?
Sí, sí.
Pero ves, mirá, ya estamos...
Y ahí ya es donde...
terminando y tenés que cortar, mirá, casi 15 centímetros. Es una lástima. No sé, a mí no me gusta tirar. O sea que no te lo voy a cortar.
Más aún...
Y te lo voy a enroscar.
¿Cambias cada entreno?
No. Cuando juego sí, cada partido sí, pero el de los torneos, como el de los torneos lo saco y queda bien, se lo guardo para mis hijos. Y ellos saben que usan solo los... Ahí está.
La verdad
que tampoco tiene mucho...
No tiene mucho, pero se nota que has puesto unos cuantos, ¿eh? ¿Verdad? ¿Tú juegas con 2?
No, ahora me han hecho el tamaño del grip, que solamente le pongo uno y ya está.
¿Y dejas el de fábrica?
Claro, pongo arriba del de fábrica, le pongo un grip y ya está.
¿Y siempre agarras la pala del mismo lado para golpear la derecha con el mismo lado?
Sí, porque el mango tiene una determinada forma, entonces te queda siempre el drive de un lado.
Well, Vela's tricks are clear. He always uses a smooth grips instead of perforated. And I completely agree with that for one main reason. Perforated grips last less than smooth. So in my opinion, just go for perforated in the case that your hand sweats a lot. Besides that, Vela always starts putting the overgrip from the thin part. And here I have a different point of view. I always start using the thick part because you can get a more regular feeling in all that spin. If you start from the thin part, you can feel that different in your hand and I personally don't like it. So besides that, what are the main 5 tips to have the best grip ever? First of all is a decision. Vela and many other pro players like Arturo Coello always use the same side of the racket to hit, for example, the forehand. By doing this, you can feel easily how the grip adapts better to your hand. But think that your racket will last less because we do more forehands than backhands. If we don't change the side of the racket, one side will be more worn than the other. So if you want to maximize the feeling, always grab the grip the same. But if you want to maximize the lifespan of your racket, change how you grab the racket. Second tip is a really good one that, for example, Agustin Tapia does. And I'm talking about the bottom of the racket. In Spanish, we call this the taco technique. Do you have a racket that comes with this rubber? It is 99% of the time placed at the top of the grip just to hold it better. But you can place it at the bottom. Why? To make the bottom thicker. This technique is for those players who like to have their hand more on the grip, not for those who like to have their hand slightly off. You can do the same without the rubber piece, just wrapping a few times around the bottom of the racket. Third tip is about the color of the grip. And yes, I'm talking about the color. Have you ever noticed that 99% of the pro players use white grips? This is because white grips don't contain pigments. If you use black, orange or blue grips, those are dyed, and your hand will slip more with a dyed sweated grip. So in my opinion, please always buy white overgrips. And if I go farther, try always to look for white, smooth Wilson overgrips. These are the best without any kind of doubt. Actually, many pro players who are not sponsored by Wilson use Wilson grips and place the sticker of the real sponsor on it just because Wilson grips are better. Fourth tip is about the length. Some people like to use tennis overgrips on their paddle rackets. The problem with that is what Bella said before. Almost 15 centimeters are useless in that case. But for some kind of players, those 15 centimeters are completely useful. Do you use double hands on your backhand? If your answer is yes, consider rolling up the racket the most you can. If not, you don't need to roll it up too much and you can save some grams. Fifth and last tip is to answer the most common question. Should I use a thick or a thin overgrip? And again, it depends on you. If you want to play, let's say, with more freedom moving your wrist, you should use a thinner grip. I don't recommend this for beginners because using too much your wrist is detrimental to your control. If you are injured or want to have more control, use a thicker grip. How can you get a thin or thicker grip? Just pay attention to how you overlap it. If you want it thin, overlap 1 or 2 millimeters. For a thick racket, overlap more in the middle or even use a tennis grip. Now is your moment! How many overgrips do you use? Do you prefer using a thin or a thick overgrip? Thanks for watching the video and see you in the next one. Ciao!